Well, my full name is James Stauffer, but my everybody calls me Jim. Uh, so I go by Jim, but every time I sign my name, it's James. And my position, well, I started way back in, I would say 1975 as a laborer working in the field. Then I moved from laborer to estimator and went from estimator to project manager. And then from project manager, I became the president of the company. And about 1988, my father sold the company to three of us men, and I was one of the owners, and I was president of Ames. We get calls, especially from new customers, or some salesman calls us and they ask, well, may I speak to Mr. Ames? And you say, well, there is no Mr. Ames. And then they say, well, how'd the name come about? Well, my father started the company way back as a proprietor in 74, incorporated in 1976. But he wanted an A in the phone book because people in the yellow pages would come to A's first. So he thought of my name, James, took the J off, and it became Ames. Simple as that. And people say, that can't be it. Nope, that was it. That's the story. Yeah. So that's where Mr. Ames came from. I think that one of the first projects was actually the Ames construction office. The building was one of my first, because I usually just filled in as an estimator, but then I actually ran this project and built the original Ames construction building. So I was in charge of that. Okay. A lot of times I just handled the estimating and the materials, and then another man in the office would handle the actual subcontractors. But I think this project here, I did. It was tough. I had to think about that a long time. There was a lot of stories. I think the one that sticks in my mind is when we were building a giant food store down north of Philadelphia. It's called Fairless Hills. And we were having pickets from unions. Unions were picketing our job sites. And there was a mass picket. And I had the opportunity, I had to walk through the picket line with all these big guys from Philadelphia, and I had to try to access the site. I had to open the gate and to see if they would let us drive on. And the policemen and the lawyers, everybody was there with video cameras. But it was a testy situation. But we made it through, but that one sticks in my mind. That was, I thought about that, and I'm looking at how Ames runs projects now. When I started early on, when we didn't have a big volume of work, the project managers did everything. The project managers would meet the customer, would build the relationship, and then the project manager would be in charge of design of the project. The project manager would then estimate it. The project manager would sell it to the customer, and then the project manager would be in charge of construction, and the project manager would close out the job. So the project managers did everything. But as the volume increased and the company got bigger and bigger, those jobs had to be specialized. So now Ames you have your project manager, you have your salesmen, your marketing people, then you also have your estimators, and then you have your project manager. So everybody is more specialized. And it's just something I never liked to do because I like one person to do the whole project, but it had to be done because of the volume of work.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So that's the big change I see. I was thinking back is when we just started doing giant food stores, and I was meeting with a developer, and I was young, and this was probably, I was just trying to think year-wise. It's got to be in the mid-'80s, 1980s. And I was meeting a developer, and we were working on a project, negotiating a project, a giant food store in Reading, Pennsylvania. And we made the deal. I remember this. It's like the end of the day, maybe even on a Friday. We made the deal. He agreed with the price. And then all of a sudden he says, well, I need one built in Easton. How much more would it be for you to do one for me in Easton? And I came up with a number sitting there meeting with him. And he says, okay, we'll do that one too. So we doubled our volume in a period of 30 minutes as a company. So we went, I mean, a giant food store was like a big project at that time for us. And we doubled it in a 30-minute period. So yeah, that was one of the most notable things I remember. We went from really little to doubling our volume.
Yeah.
So that was a test.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Well, the milestone would be we went from a small local contractor, and then we started. It was when we did our first Kmart. That was our first big retail store, was doing a Kmart. And we negotiated a Kmart. The developer we were working with did not have a good reputation, but we worked with them and we got paid at the end. But we went from doing local projects, all of a sudden now we're doing big retail stores. And that would have been in the start of the early 1980s. I would say it was 81, 82. And we went from just local projects, and also now we're building Kmarts. And then from Kmarts, we went into giant food stores. So I would say that was the big difference in the company.
Where was the Kmart located?
That Kmart was in Elizabethtown.
Okay.
And then we did a Kmart in Shippensburg, and we did a Kmart in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania. And then from there, we did the Giants, started with Giants. So that was the big jump. Yeah. And I was actually project managers and estimators at that time. So yeah. And at that time we used a local steel fabricator. He was just a Mennonite guy, and we needed to do steel shop drawings. So I drew all the steel shop drawings by hand before CAD, all on tracing paper. So I did all the shop drawings for the Kmarts.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did that. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a growing time. Well, I think Ames, and what I see from the outside now looking in, I see Ames is growing in the future. And it's most important for Ames to maintain the relationships with the customers, and also to build trust with the customers. And I think that's the most important thing, building trust with the customers, doing the right thing, and building relationships. And I think Ames will continue to grow as long as they keep doing that. I just like being with the people. I always enjoyed the people at Ames, and I've enjoyed most of the customers. There's some customers I didn't enjoy, but I worked with them anyway. But no, I enjoyed working with the people in Ames. And there's always something about meeting a customer who has a need. He needs to have a building built, and you do the whole project. At the end, you step back and you see the project. And it's the satisfaction of taking something from nothing and making something big and nice. Yeah. And I always enjoyed that. Well, yeah, we could start like early on. It used to be Lee's Camera, but it's what's the name of it? They bought it. Somebody else bought it. It was a little strip mall up the road. Right. I did that one. I drew that one and built that one. And then we did the Ephrata Recreation Center. We also did the giant food in Ephrata. We worked on the Wise Market. Just going back, I'm sure I could think of some more, but I'm just going, how far back? The Rec Center was the big one. That was one of our early big jobs. But yeah, I think that's about it. I have to think about that a while. You surprised me on that one.
Ames has their thumbprint here on Ephrata.
Yes, we do.
Yes, that's really cool.
Looking back, my philosophy, and I was always a conservative business owner, but my philosophy was no matter what, we always got to do the right thing. And there was times where the right thing cost us a lot of money, but it was the right thing to do. And I think if we keep that in mind, and also building trust with our customers and our clients, and building that relationship, that they would just ask us to do something and they know it would be done. And I think if Ames continues to do that, Ames will continue to grow.